Thanks again for being here. This is tip number 3. We're going to present you with some shocking information that has been taught in our school systems for the last 30 years. Thankfully, some changes are being made to make that a lot more effective. But before I go there, this principle that we're teaching is about the power of observation and example. This is how our kids learn. Trying to explain principles and get it through their heads is often one of the most difficult things we as parents are faced with. But when they see peers doing something, they do it immediately. When they hear a song like "What Does the Fox Say?" they jump right on the bandwagon because children are motivated through observation and example. And there is no greater power in their lives with observation and example than you as a parent. So back to this school system thing. The Just Say No and DARE programs that were presented to our children in public school, and you might have gone through them yourself, didn't actually reduce the drug usage in our nation. In fact, some studies showed that drug usage went up during those times. Research also showed that some of those programs were creating self-esteem and negative thought processes within our children. They didn't figure this out for over 20 years, almost 30 years, before they started making major changes that were more positive based. Rather than demonizing and attacking these things, they learned that's not working with our kids. And you as a parent hold the keys in positive influence, more so than any school system, than any church system. You as the parents hold the greatest abilities and skills and keys in influencing your children's behavior. You might ask, well, why aren't they responding the way I want them to? That's one of the reasons why we're presenting you with this information, is to teach you some of those tips and based off of what's happening in their brains in today's day, to empower you through your observation and example to really create those fundamental changes that our children so desperately need. So here's an example, another example of one of my children. My daughter was at school. She came home and said, "Oh, my teacher is introducing a new program for when we're bad." I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Tell me about this. She said, "Well, we're going to write a letter if we do something bad. And then we have to stand in front of our class, and then we present this letter to the class. We read it in front of the class." And I'm sitting here thinking, what? We're going to be introducing a self-shaming principle in discipline. In fact, what we're doing with Yes, and it's yestime.com, is introducing a series of principles and chapters and videos that dig deeply into the opposite of negative reinforcement and negative processing, and transform the way that our children and young adults and teenagers' brains process information through the observation and example and the power that you have as parents. So the tip of today is to reiterate in you the power that you have through observation and example, because your example holds the greatest credence over friends, over media, long-term in the behaviors of your children. Thanks again for being here. Next video, we'll be introducing you to the principle of honest and accountable communication, which is vital to your children's success.